We're back now, 8:09 with today's professional. Star Jones, Donnie Deutsch, Dr. Nancy Snyderman here to weigh in on the stories that have a lot of people talking. Good morning, all. Nice to see you guys. Let's start by talking about Pope Francis, okay? A lot of people seem to be falling in love with this guy, in part because of humility and authenticity. This is a guy who said, I'm not going to stand and greet the other cardinals on an elevated platform. I'm going to be at their level. He rode a minivan instead of the papal sedan. He went to the hotel after being elevated to Pope, checked himself out, paid his own bill. So a lot of people like this move to simplicity, a move to the poor. Is it possible to take it too far?
Yeah, in a way, because as Pope, he has certain security issues that the Swiss Guard's going to have to put in place. There's certain things that he can't do. He should not be in, the public transportation. He can, of course, be a man of the people, but he really can't be with the people all the time.
So this morning when he went out at the Vatican and greeted some of the faithful at the side there and shook their hands, you don't think we're going to see this for long?
To me, it's interesting, image guy, this style and the substance. It's great to do all of this style stuff, man of the people, but, and we've talked this ad nauseum, until the Catholic Church starts to address what we all know are the real issues the Church have, which is the real concern of the people, this stuff doesn't matter.
So, it's interesting sitting here today because we have a charismatic Christian, a Jew, and an Episcopalian.
Well, why is she charismatic Christian? I'm just a Jew.
Because
you're a charismatic member of the Jewish faith.
Well, with that little bump, and I'm an Episcopalian, speaking about the Catholic Church, I happen to love the pomp and circumstance of tradition. But here's one thing I really would implore the Catholic Church to do on a global issue. If this man has adopted the name of
Francis
of Assisi and deals with the poor, poverty without birth control begets more poverty.
Well, that's my point. We're not talking about the real issues.
So this is a chance to take the humility and the poverty and say, now we're really going to talk about this in a civilized way and move it forward.
You can't. You're never going. Don't expect that the Pope is not going to make those changes.
You guys have taken this
in
a much deeper direction than I actually intended it. I meant more on a superficial level. Does this behavior take some of the mystique away from the papacy, and is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It makes it more appealing. I mean, if you take appeal on that level, just makes him literally and figuratively a man of the people.
But interestingly, now I want more from him.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. This next story got a lot of attention over the weekend. Senator Rob Portman, a prominent Republican senator who was considered to be on the short list as a possible running mate for Mitt Romney in the last election, has now decided that he has changed his stance on the issue of same-sex marriage. He now supports it after years of being opposed to it. The reason is very personal. He says he has a gay son, and he wants that son to have all the same rights as anyone else when it comes to marriage. What strikes you about the story?
Barry Goldwater. It really takes me back. Barry Goldwater was, frankly, became sort of a centrist Republican. And when I think it was his nephew came out of the closet and said he was gay, Barry Goldwater believed that the Republican Party should be inclusive. I think what happens to a lot of these men is once it's in my family, tolerance starts to look a lot different. And when Portman's son Will came out, that changed things.
Everybody's an ideologue until it affects them.
Right.
I always like to give the analogy. You say, are you for torture, are you for waterboarding? Well, no. Well, how about if torture or waterboarding would stop your child from dying the next day? Well, of course I would. So we are all ideologues until it's personal. And this is a classic example.
As a Christian, your faith is founded. Your faith is founded in the Word of God. But as a lawmaker, your actions should be grounded in the Constitution of the United States. So he should be making decisions as a lawmaker and not be making decisions based on his faith.
Does the timing of this strike anyone? I mean, he has known his son is gay for the last 2 years, and yet when he was there on the campaign trail supporting the Republican nominee, he never mentioned anything about this evolving stance on same-sex marriage. Now the election's over, and he does.
He was still being considered probably for a vice presidential candidate.
The irony of that is if the Republicans were smart, they would understand if they move on some of these social issues, it would actually help the party.
Let's move on. Here's one that caught my attention over the weekend. The Soccer Federation of Greece has banned a player from the nation's teams for life after he celebrated a goal on Saturday with a Nazi salute. We're talking about Giorgos Katidis. He gave this salute after scoring a goal. That federation has said you will no longer play soccer for life. Does the punishment fit the crime?
As the charismatic Jew, absolutely. I'm sorry. He's pleading ignorance at this point. I don't
he's
see how
20 years old.
Okay, let me just finish. I don't see
He insists he was only pointing to a friend in the stands and didn't know what the salute meant.
But he's come off that because that was a little bit of a lie right from the beginning. I mean, he's admitted that part, that he didn't know that this was supposed to be something negative. And I was thinking about this. I place a lot of burdens on young people for use of the N-word, for knowledge about what the symbols mean. When you're 20 years old and this has not been your experience, can you give him a little bit of leeway?
The problem is what he did was awful.
Yes, 100%.
However, he's 20, and a life ban at 20 is unbelievable. Prince Harry dressed up as a Nazi for a Halloween party.
I honestly thought the media let him off easy. I thought that was vile. I don't believe, and once again, I'm speaking as a Jewish guy, but I just don't believe 20-year-olds don't understand what that means.
From this player, I am not a fascist and would have not have done it had I known what it meant, he said on Twitter. His team's German coach supported him, saying that Katidas most likely saw such a salute on the internet or somewhere else and did it without knowing what it means.
Well, I guess you know what the moral of the story is? We've got to educate our youth.
And there it is.
When 6 million people die and 20-year-olds don't understand that that is a symbol of that atrocity, maybe we need to do a better job educating today's youth.
I'm not sure what the punishment should be, but a lifetime ban when you're 20
From the Greek teams,
forever.
by the way, if he travels somewhere else, you think they're going to welcome him?
I think he might be in danger. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
And he picked the exact wrong time. That was the anniversary of some of the atrocities, specifically as it relates to
Finally, this one. Last minute I have Kate Middleton's pregnant. Have you heard that?
No.
Yeah, 5 months pregnant. She's 5 months pregnant.
She was in Mystique recently.
She was speaking to a soldier at an event over the weekend, the Duchess of Cambridge, and she said she does not know what sex baby she's having, but that she's hoping for a boy. All right? Should she have said that?
Well, I don't even know if I believe that she said that because...
Of the last videotape?
Yeah, because the last video
time?
Was, thanks, I'll give it to my,
Apparently she did, and she said William's hoping for a goal. But should a mother ever say that?
Why not?
Parents do wish.
I was sitting here thinking if I could adopt a child, I would adopt a girl. I want a little girl.
And by the way, usually when people say that and the other sex comes out, they go, oh, I'm so thrilled I had this. So, I don't think a kid's going to be
snarky headlines, though, the next day if she has a girl, it's the child Kate did not want. It's the sex Kate did not want.
A little girl comes out, Queen of England.
Are you?
Hello, feminism around the world, women unite. I'll be thrilled.
And I'd love it if she were a little bit of a tomboy and she'll show those boys.
Great.
I think you got to be careful with yourself. Like that scene in Ghostbusters. Someone asks you if you're a god, you say no. Guys, good to have you back all together. All right, it's a pleasure.